Hey, Boker Tov, Chodesh Tov. Today's daf is daf Kuf 100 in Bab Mציעא, as we learn for Achenu Beis Yisrael and Sunnah Basar B'Shivya. And also today is the yard site of my great grandfather David ben Pesach Schreibman. So we learn for Elias Neshama for his Neshama as well. Yesterday we actually turned the page to Kuf Hamid Beis, but we're going to just start again from about 4 or 5 lines from the bottom of Kuf Hamid Aleph. What are we talking about? A man sold one of two slaves, either an adult or a child, or a big field or a small field. There's a machlokas between the seller and the buyer. The seller says, "I sold you the small one," or the child slave, and the buyer says, "No, I bought the big one." So the Mishnah said, in a case like that, that's the fourth case brought down. Zemer gadol v'zemer katan yishba mochi. He has to swear that he sold him the smaller one. Says the Gemara, 5 lines from the bottom page. Why should he swear? When do you swear? You swear when you're motive b'mikzas. I say you owe me $100. You say only owe me $50. But we're not talking about the same thing. We're talking about here the adult slave or the small slave, or field A or field B. He's not motive to part of it, so that's not motive b'mikzas. So that's a good masha total hodelo. What he claimed, the guy was not motive. I wasn't motive to half of it. Masha hodelo, what he was motive to, that wasn't what the claim was for. And over here, he's telling him, okay, no, I sold you the smaller field. A, take A. That's called halach, take it right away. And there are some who hold that even when it's motive b'mikzas, when it's halach and I say, oh, you owe me $100, I say I owe you $100, you say you only owe me $50, and here's the $50. In a case like that, it's not motive b'mikzas because that's like off the table. No contending on the $50 that I owe you. Here, that's gone, and I'm just denying the rest. So some say you don't even make a shvur there. But einish mal dvarim, the third kasha. You don't swear on slaves. Slaves is like karka. We have a call einish bon al karka, and avodim are compared to juxtaposed to karka, so you don't swear. So what's the shvur over here? Rav. So Rav says, no, we're not talking about the slave or the field. We're talking about the value thereof. Rav betono tmei. He's asking for the money. I claim that you sold me the value. I bought the big slave. I paid you $100, and the slave disappeared. You never delivered. Give me back my $100. The guy says, no, you only paid me for a small slave. We're talking about the money. Demay ever gadol, demay ever cotton, demay sadak do, demay sadak tana. We're talking about the money, the value of the field. I claimed I bought the big field. I gave you the money. You never delivered. Give me back my money. How much money? 100. You say, no, I only paid you for the small field. So that's why this is a case of motive b'mikzas, and there's no halach here, and we're not swearing on the slaves. That's Rav's answer. Now, this is a case where we're talking about a big slave and a small slave, an adult and a child, or a big field and a small field. Shmuel says, no. We're not talking about the value thereof. We're talking about the shirt. We're talking about his shirt. Oh, the shirt is already, we're not talking about the slave. We're talking about the value, the shirt that he's wearing. Is it the big shirt or the small shirt? Same thing when we talk about the field. We're not talking about the field itself, where there would be a question of, is it the big field or the small field, or take the small field, or you don't swear on the fields. No, we're talking about the bundles of grain on the field. In other words, you claim that you bought 40 bundles on the field, 40 bundles of grain, which are detached, not the field. I claim you only bought 20. Okay, I didn't deliver, but I claim you only bought 20, not 40. So that's how Shmuel answers it. Says the Gemara now, and I'm at Beis. Okay, wait a minute though. You have a problem. Even if you say ksus mashatana lahodala mashatala, are you talking about a big shirt or a small shirt? What are you claiming, that it was the shirt that was bought instead of the? We're talking about the shirt. We're not talking about the slave. Okay, but did I ask for a size 20 shirt or a size 10 shirt? If you're talking about again, we're not talking about apples. We're talking apples and oranges. I claim a big shirt. You're only being motive to a small shirt. So again, it's not a case of motive b'mikzas. Says the Gemara, no. But kadamar papa again, ksus mashatana lahodalo. What he's claiming to, the guy was not motive to any part of it. I claim the big shirt, and you're only motive to a small shirt. Masha hodalo tan. What he's motive to, that wasn't the claim. The answer is kadamar papa. The Republic's going to say b'de yalfi. We're talking about where it wasn't really a shirt, a size 20 shirt that you buy in a package versus a size 10 shirt. It was one big piece of cloth, like one roll of cloth. So I claim that I bought, let's say 20 yards of cloth, and you claim you only sold me 10. That's what we're talking about. That's what Rav Papa is going to say in a few minutes. Tachanami, that's what we're talking about over here. So that's not a kasha so much from the ksus, because again, the claim is I paid for a big shirt of an eved, meaning a big 20 yards of cloth, and you only wrote it to 10, so therefore it is motive mixus. Kashla Rav Hoshi on the third line on the base. Now Rav Hoshi has this question: Midik sustani? Who's talking about a shirt or cloth? We're talking about an eved. The Mishnah said I had two slaves. So you basically I had an adult and a child, and we're arguing about which one did you buy. Who's talking about a shirt over here? Midik sustani, eved tani. We're talking about a slave. Elam Rav Hoshi Akon Shetanu eved biksusa. We're talking about this. I claim that I bought the adult slave with his clothes on, let's say, his shirt or clothes, whatever, with all clothed, fully clothed. The sada b'mra, or I bought the large field with its bundles of grain on there. Okay, so that's what we're talking about over here. We're not talking about simply clothing or bundles, because the Mishnah says sada and the Mishnah says eved. So this is what we mean. We mean I bought the eved with his clothing and the field with its bundles of grain. Okay, but so what's the shvua on? The shvua is on the clothing and on the grain, because the other stuff is attached to the ground. There, you don't swear on avadim or on ground. So here the question is still Vakati. Who mentioned it? The Mishnah didn't say anything about clothing. Vakati ksus mashatano lohodol mashahodol tano. What he admitted to, the clothing for the adult is not the same as the clothing for the child. So he only admitted to the clothing for the child. That's not the same as clothing for adult. Those are two different pairs of pants and two different shirts. Rav Papa, so here's what Rav Papa said for the Yalfi. We're speaking about where it was a roll of clothing. Again, in other words, it was a roll of cloth, and therefore he is motive mixas in that case. That's what Rav Papa says, Yalfi. Okay, so far we've answered. How do we had Rav's answer that we're talking about just cash. I gave you $100 of cash for the big field or for the adult, and you claim that I only gave you 50, so it's a standard case of motive mixas, and that's why you swear. Shmuel says now we're talking about the clothing or the grain, etc., and we work it into the Mishnah. Kashla Rav Sheshes said, so what's the chiddush in that? I claim that you owe me the clothing and an eved for an adult, and you are only motive to the clothing and eved of a child. Okay, so the clothing, it's all cloth, and therefore it's motive mixas. But what's the chiddush in that? Did you swear? What's the chiddush in this? That if I say you owe me 20 yards of cloth and you're only motive to 10, so that's motive mixas. What's the chiddush? Oh, that you're swearing on the eved too because of zokakin. Zokakin means if I make a shvua on metaltalin, if I have to make a shvua metaltalin because the motive mixas, I can already make a shvua on the karka too. That's the concept of zokakin, that one obligates the other. So Rosh says that's the chiddush over here. Is that what this Mishnah is teaching me? This fourth case, zokan aslashmina tanina. It's a favorite Mishnah we had in Kedushin and elsewhere. Zokan achasim shein lemachayis. Movables, metaltalin. If you have to swear on them, they can obligate you as an achasim shein lemachayis. They can obligate shvua on karka also. Even though karka and abada we don't swear on, but you know what? If you're making a shvua on metaltalin, you can make a shvua on that too. So that's the chiddush of our Mishnah. What's he teaching me? Zokan as an achasim shein lemachayis. We know that obligation. That's already learned in Kedushin. Elam Rav Sheshes. No. That's not what we're talking about over here. Forget this whole business about the clothing and we're talking about Elam Rav Sheshes. How money it goes like Rav Meir, the Amar Avik Matatlam. We always said that you don't swear in karka, and avadim are hookish to karka. Avadim are juxtaposed to karka, so you don't swear there. Rav Meir disagrees when it comes to metaltalin. He says you swear on metaltalin. So very simple. You swear on karka. He says that eved is metaltalin, and therefore you swear. So our kasha was, how can you swear on an eved? I bought the adult eved, I bought the small eved, the child eved. You don't swear on avadim. No, we're saying now that we go like Rav Meir, who says that an eved is like metaltalin. You do swear on eved. Now we haven't answered fields. Remember, there were two cases: big field, small field, big eved, small eved. This answers the eved part. Right? That we go like Rav Meir, who says that an eved is metaltalin. So that's a chiddush, very simple. You know why I swear over here? Because an eved is metaltalin. You swear metaltalin. So even if it's not motive and mixas, we'll talk about that. But at least as far as the question of avadim, how do you swear on avadim? The answer is it goes like Rav Meir, that eved is like metaltalin. Eved can metaltalin nabi. Vakati. But we still have the problem. Mashatonu lahodol masharolo. I asked for the big eved. You gave me the small eved. We're talking apples and oranges over here. I'm not motive the best. The answer is again. This Mishnah will go several like Gamliel, This is a real duch against. We're saying our Mishnah goes like Rav Meir. Okay, that part is understandable because our Mishnah talked about Sumchas, and Sumchas is a Talmud of Rav Meir. But what about if I ask you if I claim apples and you admit to oranges? That's not standard case of motive mixus. The answer is it goes like Rav Gamliel, who says there is motive mixus there too. It's not. If I made a claim of wheat, and you're moted to, I claim Yomi 10 bushels of wheat, and you're moted to 5 bushels of barley, potter. The Tanakama says you're potter. You don't make a shvur. That's not motive mixus. It's not minatan. It's not. You're not admitting to part of the claim. Rav Gamliel says you're chayiv even there too. Okay, so now we've said our Mishnah goes like a mayor who says you swear on avodim. And what about the fact that I'm claiming an adult Evid, you're only moted to a child Evid? It's not mimenatana. The answer is it goes like Gamliel says that if I claim apples and you admit to oranges, that's still motive of mixas. Okay, Akati, we still have a problem. Hey, look, we had 30 questions. How do you swear on avodim? Goes like a mayor. We had another question that it's not, you're not moted mimenatana, you're not moted to partial of the claim. The answer is goes to Gamliel, you don't have to be moted to the partial claim. You can claim wheat and admit to barley or apples and oranges, and still you chayav b'shvua. Goes to Gamliel. What about the part that it's halach? When I say I'm only admitting to the child Evid, or I'm only to the small field A, and here it is, in a case like that, there's also no shvuas motive and mixas. The answer is Amarava Avda de Kataliade. It's not motive mixus. You know why? Because you claim the whole Evid, and I'm giving you a partial, the small Evid, and that's okay. It's not mimenatana, but the Evid has had his hand amputated. Let's say I didn't amputate his hand, but his hand has been amputated. So you're claiming a full Evid, but here we have an Evid. The Evid that I'm giving to you has had an amputated hand. This is a little bit of a dochik, this whole thing, right? We're saying goes like Rav Meir, and goes like Gamliel, and the Evid is not halach because he's not returning the whole Evid. He's returning only part of the Evid. He's giving him half of the Evid or part of the Evid because his hand's been cut off. What about the field? Why isn't the field? Why isn't that halach? The field, when I'm admitting only to the small field, but I'm giving it to you right away. No, I've dug in there pits, ditches, and caves, so it's got to be repaired first. So it's not a case of halach. Okay, so this is a little bit of a dochik answer to say our Mishnah goes this way, but the kasha has another kasha. You're saying Rav Meir holds that you can swear on that you can swear on avodim because avodim are like metaltalin. The Tanam, we learned in a Mishnah in Baba Kama, Gozel Behem, if you stole an animal, Viskin, and the animal aged, very old, right? Or Avodim, you stole Avodim, Viskinu, and they became old. Misham Chasik Zela. The Tanakama says, well, give it back. Just give it back. What it was worth? You stole a 20-year-old Eved or a 20-year-old animal. I don't know how long the animals live, but whatever, you gave it back when it's 40 or 50 and can't do as much work. Tanakama says you got to pay Shasik Zela. You stole metal, and that's a rule. When it comes to slaves, you could just say, here it is right now. You know why? Because avodim are like karka, and karka can't be stolen. It's always in one place. The same thing, Eved is like that too, so it's never stolen. If I steal an Eved, it's still yours. It's not like I was coned by a shinui or it got older and it's not the same Eved anymore, so I have to return to you a 20-year-old one. No, Eved is like karka, and can't be stolen. So what do you see? The Rav Meir holds that Eved is like karka, not that it's like metalfin. It's holo kasha. That's not a kasha because I can answer this way. Can a machlif Rav Avua switches around the shitas and this Mishnah that talks about stealing a young Eved and he became older later on and you're returning it. But Tani he learns, Rav Meir says Masham Chesed. Rav Meir says it is stolen because Rav Meir holds that Eved is like metalfin. So therefore, when you stole it when he's 20 and now he aged, and now he's 40 or 50 or 60 or 80 and can't work anymore, okay, you know what? That's a change. I was coned. I'm the goslin. I was coned, and I have to return what I stole. I have to return the value of a 20-year-old slave. The Chum say, but it comes to an Eved, an animal is of course not. An animal is metalfim. When it comes to Eved, he could say, because an Eved is like karka and it can't be stolen. Okay, so that's not a kasha. Again, Rav Meir will say that Eved is like metalflin, and therefore you can swear on that. And the other answers we gave to explain it, that it's not halach because the hand was cut off or the field was uprooted, the field was dug up. And as far as not being motivated menatana, we said that goes like Gamliel says that chayv motiv mixus even if you're not motivated menatana. Ella, but here's our kasha. Our kasha was that, remember, the whole issue started with, I sold you one of two avadim, and we're arguing about which one, or I sold you one of two fields. Okay, we've answered the eved, that an eved is like metalton, so you can swear on avadim according to Rav Meir, that holds eved is like metalton. What about the field? The field is karka. So what about there? Elami midas of Rav Meir makshin karka eved. Fine, we all know the eved Rav Meir holds is metalton. Our Mishnah goes like Rav Meir, that eved is metalton, you can swear on eved. What about karka? We're arguing about the field. I say I sold you the small field. You say the big field, right? So how do you swear over there? Even if you say it's mimin hataina, because we're talking about the field with the grain on it, and with the grain on it. So he said, as far as the grain goes, yeah, but how can you swear in karka? How can you swear in karka? Karka is you don't swear in karka. Elamai, you want to say Rav Meir holds that karka is like eved. Elamai, my discover Rav Meir makshina and karka eved. How do we know that that we compare karka to eved and say just like eved is metallic karka also my eved is just like an eved you swear obviously karka is karka. You can't say that karka is metallic, but we swear on avodim. We say avodim are like metallic. I think he's talking to somebody there in the shul. Yeah. So clearly avodim is like metallic, right? But I thought it's muted. Okay. Avodim is like metallic. But how can you say that karka is also like an eved, and you swear on that too? It's karka, but do you say that you swear on karka just like you swear on metallic according to Rav Meir? How do you know he says that? Elam, might have Rav Meir makshin karka eved. Ma'avin ishbon just like eved you swear on eved because an eved is like metallic. Av karka nishbon dilma eved hu nishbon. An eved, okay, Rav Meir agrees there. Aval karka lo. So you can't answer karka in our Mishnah. Why would you make a shvua if I claim that I sold you the small field and you say it was a big field? Why would you make a shvua over there? You don't swear on karka. There's no lo salkadai. You know what? Rav Meir could even say that you swear on karka too. To Tanya, we have a brisa, and I'll pay attention to this brisa. This is similar to our Mishnah, but it's not exactly. Hamachla part of a chamor. If you exchange a part of a chamor, the older, and of course the question is when I pulled the chamor, the para we said was elsewhere. It was in a field somewhere, or in a simta, or in a agam. And the question is, when was the baby born? When was the calf born? I sold my shifcha. Sold my shifcha to you, and you paid me cash. The shifcha wasn't here. We don't know when the shifcha gave birth to Yolda. Zerma b'shusi. If one says no, it was born in my rishus, this shows like the other is quiet. Zocha, either bari b'shem bari adav, or as we'll see that he can't swear because he doesn't know. So therefore, if you can't swear, you have to give it up. Or is that if each one know? Yachloku, you split it. We said you split it. Why? Because we go like sumkas. Here's the question though. If they both claim that it was theirs, they know for sure. The mocher has to swear. This is similar to the case we talked about in our Mishnah. But in our Mishnah, remember, we're talking about selling an adult or selling a child or selling a big field or selling a small field. Here we're only talking about the first case. The first case of the Mishnah, where you exchange the para for the chamor or the shifra for and she gave birth, and we don't know, and each one's claiming, I know it was me. The mocher has to swear that the mocher swears Yolda lefi why whoever swears Minatorah, the shvu is only not to pay. Pasuk says, the one who has to pay has to swear that he's potter from paying. Midrabanan, there's others, there's a shvuas heses and there's other shvuas, but in a raisa, you only swear when you're pottering up. Now here, what's happening is that the lokeach, the purchaser says, no, the baby was born after the sale took place. The seller says, no, the baby was born before. So what's going on over here? The seller is trying to say, I'm not giving you the baby. The baby's mine. I'm swearing that I don't have to pay. I don't have to give you the baby. So therefore, the mocher swears. So what do you see? Okay, so what does that have to do with the karka? We didn't get the karka here. We're not talking about karka. The Chacham retorted to Rav Meir, you don't swear out of Adam or on karka. Doesn't that mean to say Lav Machal to Rav Meir Sav Nishbon? Aren't they trying to say to Rav Meir, no, you don't swear on slaves and you don't swear on karka? Doesn't that mean to say that Rav Meir holds you do swear on slaves and on karka? Says no, that doesn't necessarily mean nine. The Mekshen Karmela, maybe they just told him no, just like you admit in the case of karka that you don't swear, you should admit also in the case of metalton. Because just like you're murdered by karka, that what you don't swear in karka, odolon also ba'abadim. But really, Rav Meir agrees that when it comes to karka, you don't swear. Tater, the proof that he holds by karka, you don't swear. That's not Rav Meir Omer in a different case. Rav Meir said, listen, there are some things like karka, but they're not really karka. What does that mean? What's the case? Kate said, I gave you 10 vines that are fully laden, ready to pick. There was only 5. Rav Meir says, you're chayiv a shvua, right? He says they're really karka, but they're not like karka. What does that mean? He says, in other words, is that motor mix or not? I gave you we're arguing about 10 vines that were fully laden, ready to pick. Rav Meir says, you make a shvur there. If you only motor mixus and 5, you're motor to 5 instead of 10. That's what's motor mixus, even though it's attached to the ground, but it's ready to pick. So if it's ready to pick, it's as if it's been picked. The Chum say, no, as long as it's attached, it's karka, you don't swear. The machlokus is these kind of grapes that are ready to be picked. The Mar Sami, Rav Meir holds it's like it's been picked already, and therefore you could swear it's motor mixus. It's not as if it's been picked already. It's not been picked yet. It's still attached to the ground. But if it's not ready to be picked, if it's grapes that still need to be attached, need to get their nourishment from the tree, even Rav Meir would say that that's karka, einish bon. So what do you see? Rav Meir holds from karka. It doesn't work. So therefore, this whole answer that we've given over here, it goes like Rav Meir, it goes like Ramlio. The Evid's hand was cut off, the field was uprooted already. Doesn't work because that only answers the case of Evid. Evid, you could say, is like the Talmud, it goes like Rav Meir. But karka, everybody agrees that karka is karka, and you don't swear on karka. So how does that work? El Olam says Gemara to Rav Hoshia, like Rav Hoshia said at the top of the page, what we're talking about, where he asked for the Eved with his clothing. He asked for the Eved, he demanded Eved with the clothing, an adult Eved with the clothing, or a Sutta with its grain on there. And the question was, so what's the chiddush in that? So he said, isn't it Mashatan Aloda? No. It was all attached. There was clothing. It was all one roll of clothing, adult clothing. There was 20 yards of cloth instead of 10 or whatever it was. The machlokus was about clothing is in one roll. It wasn't different size garments. So therefore, it is not a case of Mashatan Aloda. And as far as, what's the chiddush in this? That you swear on the clothing when you're moda to 10 yards instead of 20, you have to make a shvua on that. And then you bring on the shvua of the karka or of the eved. Why? Because of zokakin, because one obligates the other. Elon Kavosha, Udakashno Zokin. What about the question is, what is he teaching me over here? That if you swear on metalflin, you could also swear on karka. What's the chiddush? I think sus eved keved. The clothing of an eved is like part of the eved dummy. It's like the field. And that's when I sell you a field with the grain. It's like the main thing is just like part of the field. And an Evid with his clothing, the clothing is like attached to the slave. So you might say you don't swear here at all because you don't swear in karka. And even if you hold like Rav Meir that you swear metalton, but you don't swear in karka. So what's the shvu over here? The chiddush is no. That since he's also asking for the clothing of the Evid and the grain, the grain bundles on the field, you do swear on there. And Mamel, you swear on the field and on the Evid respectively also, because one pulls the other. Since you swear on the metalton, you swear on the Evid as well. Okay.
Why don't
like
Rav said it on Ahmed Aleph that we look at it as all Indian of money.
Very good.
So
this was all going according. Rav says that he asked him for the money, not that he looked at it as ever. He asked him for the money. According to Rav, it's simply a case of money. You're right. But according to we're explaining this all according to Shmuel. Shmuel said that Shmuel didn't want to give an answer money because we're talking about Eved and Karka. So he says no, we're talking about the clothing of the Eved, the grains of the Karka. This all explains. This is all according to Shmuel. But you're raising a good point. Because now the Gemara, we're at the first of the wide lines of the Gemara. We're almost done. Zeh Omer is not the case of the Mishnah. This is going on the Brisa. The Brisa that was only talking about the Shifcha, right? The Shifcha, right? Or the Shifcha or the Para who gave birth, the one who gave birth, and each one says they don't know, and you split it. So the Gemara says, "Hamani sumkus Omer Mamno v'Safik Cholkin." This goes like some. This goes that if it's a suffix, you split it. But according to Remember, the way we paskin, you go according to the Chazak and the Mikara, whoever owned it until now. According to simply to split it. But if that's the case, Ema Sefer, the Sefer of the Brisa, not our Mishnah. Ema Sefer, Zelmer B'Shusi, B'Shusi, each one says it was born in my Rishus, in my possession. Yishba Mochash B'Shusa Yolda. But if you're saying this Brisa goes according to Rav Meir, it goes according to Sumchas, Rabbi Rafuna said on a mouth that we learned yesterday. Even when you're sure Sumchas says you split it, why do you split it? Why does the mocher swear? Why does the seller swear? Here we're talking about a case of, we're not talking about a field. We're not talking about a field, a big one and a small one. I sold an Eved, a big one and a small one. That's a different case. There we have to talk, that's the discussion we just had on this Amud. Here we're talking about only the first case, the case of birth. When did the Shifcha or the Para give birth? And Rabbi Funa said, goes like some even when they're both sure, you split it. So why do you swear over here? Should say you split it. The answer is Moda Sumchas. Sumchas is Moda Hechadika Shvur D'Oraisa. Where the Shvur D'Oraisa, how is the Shvur D'Oraisa over here? Because this Brisa, remember the Brisa said Diva Rav Meir. What did the Mishnah say? The Brisa in the middle of this page say? Rav Meir holds that you do swear on avodim. So therefore, if you swear on avodim, this is a shvur d'oraisa. Why is it shvur d'oraisa? Because you're claiming I sold you the mother with the baby, and I'm claiming no, I sold you the mother after the baby was born, whether the mother being the para or the shifcha. So why isn't it? But why isn't it masha hodelo lo moda? Why isn't it? You're not motive in a taina. So Rashi explains. Take a look at the last Rashi before the Mishnah. With the Katoliada Kedarabban. There's two things we're saying. We're saying this Mishnah is certainly Rav Meir because the Brisa says it's Rav Meir. So the Brisa is certainly Rav Meir who holds that you swear on avodim. What about the fact that you're not? Where is it? Your motive minatana? Yes, because I'm claiming you sold me a shifra with its blood, and that's one guf. Uber is chelik of the mother. Uber yarcha the ima. Raya is yarcha ima, and therefore, when I claim I bought the mother with the baby. The mother with the baby is one guf. So therefore, you're only being motor. No, I sold you only the mother, not the baby. So therefore, it's miminataina. What about the fact that it's halach? Take the mother, the hand was cut off, so it's not the same. So it's not halach. Why does it work in the brisa? Goes like Meir says, you swear on avodim. What about the fact that it's not motive? It is motive mixes. Why? I claim that you sold me the mother with the baby or the para with the calf, and you're only motive to the mother or the mother, the para or the shifra mother without the baby. That's motive and mixas. Why isn't it halach? Because he cut off the hand. Says the Mishnah, Mocher Zeisav Leitzim. I sold you trees. Olive trees, for their wood. You want to cut them down, and you're going to use them for firewood. I sold them to you. I said, there's my field. Here are my trees. Cut them down and take them. Now, what happened was I didn't cut them down. When you bought them, you didn't cut them down right away, and they continued to make some olives. The olives yielded a very small amount, less than a revius, a small amount of revius of liquid for a saw of olives. Very small amount. The guy who bought them can keep them. Also revius, if they made a good amount. You didn't cut down the tree right away. But you say that your olives are what made this thing. I bought the tree with the olives, so my olives grew this olive oil. Says, listen, you didn't cut it down right away. My field gave you the nourishment to do that. Yachloku, you split it. You split it. That's what you said. The Mishnah says you split it. There's a machlokes about it. You split it. Shataf nar zeisav in a similar case, but here where there was a flood of the river, and that swept away these trees with the gushas, we'll see, with their earth, and swept them downriver to somebody else's field, and they grew there. Put them into the second guy's field. Then we say you split it. Meaning, what happened here? Reuven's trees were swept downriver with the roots and with their dirt, and they grew in Shimon's field. Now when it comes to the grapes, the olives that grew, Shimon says it was my land that grew these olives. They belong to me. And Reuben says, no, they're my trees. And since they went down, tomorrow's going to say that since it went down with the earth, etc., the trees are already past Arla. You see, if the tree just went down there without the roots and without dirt, and it had to grow again, then Shimon couldn't claim the olives anyway because it's Arla. The first 3 years it's Arla. After 3 years, it's all his. But the first here it's swept downfield. You say you split it. Says the Gemara. If he said, if the seller said, cut it down right now, if I said cut it down right now and you stayed and it stayed there, and it grew a little bit. So what's the difference how much it grew? It grew on my land. You were supposed to cut it down right away. If he said cut it down whenever you want in a year, 2 years, then whatever amount of olive oil yielded from those olives belongs to the person who bought it, because the owner didn't say cut it down right now. You can leave it here for a year or two, cut it down whenever you want. So what's the case here? You don't need that. Cut it down whenever you want. I cut down my trees, take the trees, and use it for fire whenever you want. If it's still, if the trees remained on his field and the buyer did not cut it down, and it yielded less than a revius, a very small amount of olive oil, low kapti, and people aren't mocked without that, take it. Revius, if it grew a substantial amount, kapti, and she can say, listen, you took nourishment from you should have cut them down earlier. You didn't cut it down right away. It grew on my land. Had you cut it down, I could have planted other ones. I could have used my field for something else. Even the revius we're talking about is besides the expenses. In other words, the expenses of cutting it, of yielding it, of harvesting it and pressing the grapes and pressing the olives into olive oil, etc. So that's what we're talking about here. Tomorrow's Gemara discusses this Mishnah at length, and on Sunday that'll be on the podcast. And on Sunday, Mirz Hashem, we will pick it up from the Mishnah, the bottom of Kuf Aleph on the base. Tomorrow's Daf is Daf Kuf Aleph. There's 2 Mishnayos on the days. We'll pick it up at the beginning of the second Mishnah on Sunday morning, Mirz Hashem. Same time, same place on the Zoom until the air conditioning is fixed at Shul. Have a good day and Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Regards to everybody.